Okay, so let's look at the first problem here. I'm sorry for my computer; it's a little outdated, but we'll do what we can. It says there, triangle DEF is similar to triangle AJK. Sorry, JKL. So find the length of JL and JK. So find the length of JL and JK. So JL is this guy here. JL is X here. They want you to find KL also. So in KL, I'm going to put, let's put another letter. I'll put Y. Okay. But first, we got to find one at a time. Whenever you're doing similar figures, remember you must think of the word proportions. Okay. And a proportion is, the simple definition is just a ratio compared to another ratio. A ratio equals another ratio. What's another word for this word proportion? Is ratio. What's another word for ratio? Well, fractions. So then all you're going to do is have two fractions next to each other where you cross multiply. Cross multiply and then you divide. Okay, those are the two steps. Proportion is just two ratios or two fractions that you answer by cross multiplying or divide. Cross multiply and then divide. So let's look at let's find one, and you can find the other one on your own. I'll start with this one here, Y. Y corresponds, now there's many ways to put this, set up this proportion. I'm going to do it between triangles. So Y corresponds to who over here. In other words, who's in the same position as this guy, the KL. Well, look at the KL. KL is your second and third letter. So that means you're going to go with your second and third letter over here because they're similar. Similar means that they have to correspond to each other. So this side corresponds to this guy because KL is my second and third letter. So over here my second and third is EF. So I'm going to go with EF, which is 9. Okay. And now since I started with this guy, I'm going to start over here with this guy on my other fraction. So I started with Y with this triangle. So I'm going to start with the 3 over here. 3 corresponds to who over here? Well, JK is my first and second letter. So my first and second on over here is DE. So DE corresponds to D. So the 3 corresponds to the 4. And now you have your proportion in your two fractions. Okay, cross multiply and divide. And so now 4y is equal to 27. Okay, I cross multiply 4 times a letter, put them together. 4y. 9 times 3, 27. This is multiplication. The opposite of multiplication is to divide. Divide by 4. And so now how many times is 4 going to 27? Well, 4 times 4, 4 times 5, 4 times 6 is 24. 4 times 7, 28. Me paso. So 4 times 6. So 4. 4 times 6 is 24. And how many more are left over? 3. Because 4 times... I don't know, I had to write the first time. I'm sorry. My fault here. My fault. So y equals 6. 4 times 6 is 24. And how many are left? 3. And so my answer for y, and y, the letter I was looking for was KL. KL was the letter that I took for unknown for y. So then KL would be right here. KL would be this 6 and 3/4. So I did one with you. All you gotta do is do this one here. What's the answer to that one? Set up your proportion, okay? The way I set up this one. Okay, let's look at the next one there. The menu items ordered by family of 5 totaled this. Determine the total cost of the meal if the tax rate is 8.5% and a 20% cash tip was left on the table. So think there. You want to know the total cost. Total cost is equal to suppose cost of meal times tax. Okay, cost of meal times tax. So the meal was $45.90. I'm going to multiply that times the tax, and the tax is 8.5, but I need to convert that 8.5% to a decimal. Now you've learned about FDP, fraction decimal percents. Okay, when you want a decimal to a percent, when you want to go this way, you move the decimal 2 times that way. When you want to go from a percent to a decimal, you move it 2 times this way. So it's 8.5%. So that means I'm a percent, I want a decimal, so I'm going to go this way. I'm going to move the decimal. Now usually we start here if it's a whole number, but this one has a decimal already, so I'm going to start here. 1, 2. And then my space here, I'm going to put a 0. And so I'm going to multiply that times, okay, and then 45.90 times 0.085 gives me this. Well, I know this is closer to, this is in dollars and cents, so that's $3.90. That's my tax. And so now I'm going to leave $45.90 plus the $3.90 tax. That way I know how much they're going to charge me. $45.80. That's how much money I'm going to pay for the meal and the tax together. And I'm also going to leave 20% cash tip. So on top of this 45.80, if I want to know how much tip I'm going to leave, if it's 20% of the total cost, this is my total cost. So again, 20% as a decimal, you move the decimal 2 places to the left. Remember this, fraction decimal percent. You have a percent, you want to go back this way, you move the decimal 2 times to the left. Now here it doesn't have a decimal, so here you have to start at the end because it's a whole number, and you go 1, 2, and so your decimal is 0.20, or you can say 0.2, and so that's what you're going to put here, 0.2. Okay, so you get 0, 8 times 2 is 16, 9 times 2 is 18, plus 1 is 19, 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 is 9. Okay, and then it says one number to the right of the decimal, so you move it. See, I make sure I did this right. 18, 19. Okay, and so now you're going to move the decimal. Oh, I'm sorry, I took the 0 off. Right, so then 1, 2. I should have put the 0.20. Okay, so then 1, 2, and I get the wrong answer. Okay, so you tell me what I did wrong, and you might need extra points. Now I know the answer already, but here, what did I do wrong? And tell me the answer. And see what you can figure out. I saw my mistake already. I want you to figure it out. Tell me. Okay. Look at the next one here. The graph represents Abel's bike ride on Saturday. What is Abel's constant rate of speed? That means constant rate of speed means I want the speed for 1. I want the unit rate. Okay, I want the unit rate. Okay, so think there. I want the unit rate. That means uni means 1. Okay, the word this uni means 1. Unidad. Okay, so I want the unit rate. And so now, how can I find the unit rate? Well, on a graph, okay, on a graph, let's look at it's very easy on a graph. Let's look at the graph. So we have here, this is your number of hours, this is your x, which is your independent variable, this is your y, which is your vertical. So when we're talking about constant rate of change or rate of speed or unit rates, we always say it's y over x. The change in y over the change in x. Okay, So think there, my change in y. For example, let's look at this point here, this corner. Okay, what is it saying? Well, it's saying that in 2 hours I can drive 7 miles. I mean, I can go 7 miles on my bike ride, according to what Abe was doing, bike ride. So in 2 hours, 6 miles. In 2 hours, I'm at 6 miles. In 2 hours. So then how would I set that up? In 2 hours, I'm at 6 miles. Well, if it's the change in y, the y's are the miles and the x's are the hours, because if you think about it, we don't say I went 8 hours in 8 miles. We used to say miles per hour. So that's why you would put y over x. So then according to this, 2 and 6, I went 6 miles in 2 hours. Well, if you want to know the unit rate, all I want to know is how much did I go in 1 hour. And so if you went 2 hours, 6 hours, in 2 hours you went 6 miles. Well, in 1 hour, I'm going to go half, because half of that is half of that. So that's my answer right there. Because if you look here, in 1 hour, I went 3. Your answer can be gotten from the graph. Okay, so the answer is here. So my answer is 3 miles in 1 hour. Okay. And so now, look at number 4. Nicole uses 2.5 meters of ribbon to decorate door wreaths. There are 20 meters of ribbon on a spool. Write an equation that can be used to determine the number of wreaths that Nicole could decorate. So let's say X represents number of wreaths. Number of wreaths. Okay. And so now we're going to say X represents that. Y would be the total. Okay? Y would be the total. So think that Y is the total. And so now Y is equal to, okay, well, you know the total. It's telling you there are 20 meters of ribbon. That's the total. So then Y is equal to 20. So Y equals 20. So then I know I'm going to put here 20 equals, okay, well, I know number of wreaths is here. Okay, now what's how much is each wreath gonna take? Each wreath requires 2.5 meters. Okay, each wreath is gonna require, in other words, to decorate the door wreath. So each one. So you're gonna use for each wreath 2.5. And I've told you before the word each. When you're doing equations, the word each goes with the x. So each wreath. So if I put here one wreath, okay, well, what goes in the front of this? Okay, well, what is a constant? What are you using the same every single time? And what you're using the same every single time is this. Because you're doing it for every door wreath. Again, another word, every. Every door wreath is taking 2.5 meters. So that means 2.5, okay, 2.5x. So the equation is this. What's the solution? So you tell me what the solution is. I'm going to leave it like that. Okay? Tell me what the solution is here. Okay? Remember, this is multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication? Okay? And these two, you don't have to set up the decimals. Don't line them up, because it's multiplication. And it's multiplication here. So don't line up decimals. Just multiply the way you would. Okay? And good luck. I hope you have it by tomorrow. Adios.